Picture this. You're deep in Michigan's rugged Upper Peninsula, surrounded by towering trees and the eerie silence of the wilderness. Then out of nowhere, that silence shatters. A hunter's desperate shouts echo through the forest as he comes face to face with a pack of grey wolves, the apex predators of the wild. For Jordan Farmer, a seasoned hound hunter, this wasn't just a close encounter. It was a heartbreaking loss and a moment that would ignite a firestorm of controversy. Now, hunters are calling for the eradication of wolves from Michigan's landscape, once again fueling a debate that pits man against nature. But is this really about safety, or is it about reclaiming dominance over the wild? Stay with us as we unravel this gripping story of tragedy, misinformation, and a fight for survival, not just for humans, but for wolves too. Welcome back to Savage Tales, Animal Encounters. If you're new here, we bring you the most captivating, jaw-dropping, and sometimes heart-wrenching stories of human encounters with the untamed world. From awe-inspiring triumphs to deeply divisive controversies, we explore the raw truth of what it means to share this planet with nature's fiercest creatures. Today, we're diving into a heated debate roaring through Michigan's wilderness. It all started when Jordan Farmer, a hunter from the Upper Peninsula, lost his loyal hound to a wolf attack. His encounter has become the spark for a movement to once again exterminate Michigan's grey wolves. But this isn't just a simple story of hunter versus predator. There's a complex web of fear, misinformation, and the age-old battle between humans and nature at play here. Why are some hunters determined to eliminate a species that has fought so hard to reclaim its rightful place in the ecosystem? What does this mean for Michigan's wildlife and for us as stewards of the natural world? We're pulling back the curtain on the truths, the lies, and the stakes of this deeply emotional issue. But before we dive deeper, let's talk about you, our incredible community. If you love thrilling stories like this, if you're passionate about wildlife, or even if you're here to join the debate, you've come to the right place. Help us keep this conversation alive and growing by doing a few simple things. First, smash that like button, because every like helps this story reach more people. Share this video with your friends, family, or anyone who loves a good wilderness mystery. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think wolves should stay protected, or do you side with the hunters? We want to hear from you. If you're new to Savage Tales, Animal Encounters, don't leave without hitting that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ring the notification bell so you never miss another wild adventure. All right, it's time to journey into the wild heart of Michigan and uncover the truth about Jordan Farmer's chilling encounter with wolves. Remember, as we always say, where the savage meets the spectacular. Let's get into it. Jordan Farmer, a seasoned hound hunter from Michigan's Upper Peninsula, set out on a brisk January morning with a clear mission: to train his pack of loyal hunting dogs for the upcoming bear season. The dense forests of the Upper Peninsula, known for their rugged beauty and thriving wildlife, were his playground, a place where nature's raw power and beauty were on full display. Jordan, like many hound hunters in the area, prided himself on the skill and discipline required to work with hounds, letting them pursue trails through the wilderness while he followed closely behind. On this particular day, Jordan's dogs had picked up the scent of a bobcat. Their excited howls pierced the still air as they plunged deeper into the snowy woods, their noses glued to the ground. Jordan followed their tracks, his boots crunching against the icy terrain as he listened carefully to their distant calls. Years of experience had taught him to decipher the subtle changes in his dog's barks, each one revealing whether they were on a hot trail or momentarily distracted. The chase led them farther from the beaten path, into a secluded stretch of forest, where towering pines cast long shadows over the untouched snow. This was prime hunting ground for both bobcats and the elusive grey wolves that roamed the Upper Peninsula, a fact Jordan was well aware of. He had heard stories of hunters encountering wolves in these parts, but had yet to face them himself. As the dogs moved further out of sight, Jordan felt the familiar twinge of worry that every hunter experiences when their hounds venture too far. He checked his GPS tracker, which showed his lead dog, Duke, moving steadily along the trail. The other dogs followed close behind, their signals glowing steadily on the handheld device. Satisfied that the pack was on course, Jordan quickened his pace, weaving through the underbrush to close the distance. Then something changed. The steady beeps from the GPS tracker faltered, signaling that Duke had suddenly stopped moving. The other dog's signals began to scatter, their erratic paths indicating confusion or alarm. Jordan's heart sank. He called out to the pack, his voice cutting through the cold air, but only silence responded. He pushed forward, his eyes scanning the forest for any sign of his dogs. The stillness of the woods felt oppressive, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Suddenly, a single sharp yelp echoed through the trees, a sound every hound hunter dreads. It was followed by a guttural growl that sent chills down Jordan's spine. He broke into a run, his mind racing with possibilities. Had Duke tangled with a bobcat, fallen into a trap, or was it something far worse? The snow grew deeper as he pushed onward, each step an effort as adrenaline coursed through his veins. As he neared the area where Duke's signal had stopped, the forest seemed to close in around him, the towering trees casting eerie shadows in the fading light. The faint smell of musk and blood hung in the air, a telltale sign that a predator was nearby. Jordan gripped his leash tightly, his senses on high alert. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of his own labored breathing. He called out Duke's name one last time, his voice trembling with equal parts fear and determination. And then through the dense thicket ahead he saw them. What unfolded next would become one of the most harrowing and tragic encounters of Jordan Farmer's life. A moment that would forever change his perspective on the balance between hunter and hunted. As Jordan's eyes adjusted to the dim light filtering through the trees, he froze. Just beyond the thicket, the unmistakable silhouettes of two grey wolves emerged. They were large and powerful, their thick winter coats blending almost seamlessly with the snow-dappled forest floor. Their sharp eyes locked onto Jordan, their postures low and deliberate, exuding a predatory focus that sent a chill through his veins. Between them lay Duke, or what was left of him. Jordan's heart dropped as he realized his loyal companion, the hound who had shared countless hunts with him, had been overpowered. The wolves were feeding, their powerful jaws tearing at Duke's remains with an efficiency that only nature's apex predators could display. Desperate to scare the wolves away, Jordan shouted, his voice trembling with grief and rage. "Get out of here!" he bellowed, grabbing a stick from the ground and hurling it toward them. One wolf paused, lifting its blood-matted muzzle to fix Jordan with an unflinching stare. The other, undeterred, continued to feed, its growls deep and guttural. When shouting and throwing sticks failed to deter them, Jordan swung his dog leash, slapping it against nearby trees to create loud, sharp cracks that echoed through the forest. For a moment he thought it might work. The wolves hesitated, their ears swiveling toward the sound, but instead of retreating, they began to move toward him, their movements slow and deliberate. Panic surged through Jordan as the wolves closed the distance. He backed up, his mind racing. What could he do against two predators with nothing more than a leash and his voice? The wolves were now within a few yards, their golden eyes fixed on him, muscles tensed as though ready to lunge. With no other option, Jordan scrambled up the nearest tree, his hands gripping the icy bark as he hauled himself onto a low branch. From his precarious perch, he looked down to see the wolves circling below. They sniffed the air, their heads tilting upward to watch him, as if calculating their next move. Time seemed to stretch as Jordan clung to the tree, the bitter cold biting at his fingers. The wolves eventually lost interest, retreating back to Duke's remains to finish their meal. From the safety of his vantage point, Jordan could do nothing but watch, his heart heavy with helplessness and grief. When the wolves finally moved on, disappearing silently into the forest, Jordan climbed down. The scene before him was one he would never forget. Duke's once vibrant body was reduced to little more than scraps. The snow around the area was stained red, a stark contrast to the pristine white surrounding it. Jordan crouched next to what remained of Duke, his hands trembling as he tried to process the devastating loss. This wasn't just a hunting dog, it was a companion, a partner who had braved the wild with him time and time again. The realization that he had brought Duke into this deadly encounter weighed heavily on him. As the forest grew darker, Jordan collected what he could of Duke, wrapping the remains in a blanket he carried in his gear. The walk back to his truck was long and silent, his thoughts a whirlwind of guilt, anger, and confusion. He replayed the events over and over, questioning if there was anything he could have done differently. Wow, what an intense and heartbreaking story. Jordan Farmer's encounter with wolves in Michigan's Upper Peninsula is a tragic reminder of the complex and often dangerous interactions between humans and the wild. As we've seen today, the wilderness is full of untamed forces that can change the course of a hunt in an instant. And as we wrap up this gripping tale, we want to hear from you, our incredible community. What do you think? Should we protect the grey wolves and let nature follow its course? Or should we consider stricter management to ensure the safety of hunters and their dogs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. Before you go, don't forget to show your support for Savage Tales Animal Encounters by doing a few quick things. Like this video if you enjoyed the story and want more raw, untamed content. Share this video with your friends, family, or anyone who's fascinated by the wild world we share with nature's fiercest predators. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell, so you never miss another story from the heart of the wild. We bring you new, exciting content every week, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for watching and being part of the Savage Tales family. Your support helps us keep these stories alive and bring the wild world to you. Remember, as always, where the savage meets the spectacular, that's where we find the true story. See you next time, and keep embracing the wild.